I think so far Prime Minister Cameron has done the right things. Of course, he has to fight for his position. He knows that's a very difficult issue in the European Union, and he tried to get the consensus of all the member states. So I think the issue is now well prepared, and I hope there will be an agreement during the European summit.
How optimistic are you? How realistic is full consensus on, for example, the break on in-work benefits for migrant workers?
From what I know from the European Union countries, they are all willing, Britain, to remain in the European Union. Of course, this issue of the benefits and the freedom of movement is very sensible for some of the countries of the European Union. We have to understand that. But at the end, everybody wants Britain to remain. So I think the compromise that is on the table, it's creative. As always, these legal compromises are difficult to build, but I think it's a creative and intelligent one. So I hope at the end that there will be a consensus, because the main issue is how to express a position that will enable Prime Minister Cameron to go to the British people and to say we have a good deal. And frankly, I think the issue is about the benefits and about to avoid the abuse of social benefits, because it's true that different countries have different levels of social benefits. I think this can work as a compromise.
Acceptable to fellow leaders. Do you honestly believe that it will have the slightest bearing upon the ambitions of a Polish or a Portuguese or a French worker to come to Britain? Do you really think that this particular concession would put anybody off exercising their freedom of movement?
Of course, the other countries can also do the same. So it's not only for Britain. The idea is also that if the exception exists for Britain, it can also exist for the others. So in terms of the general principle of, let's say, fairness, I think we can defend it.
Do you think it would put anybody off coming here to work?
No, frankly not. I think it depends now on the conditions of the labour market, on the evolution. We don't know what's going to happen in the future. We have seen different situations. By the way, there are many British people also living outside. But I think the people that want to go to Britain, if, of course, the basic the rights of the people are ensured, they will be willing to go. But, of course, with slightly different conditions.
Well, do you understand, sir, Mr. Cameron's the importance that he places upon this issue of British sovereignty, the desire that he holds to somehow safeguard sovereignty in the context of legislation? Does that make sense to you as a former European leader yourself?
Former European and national leader.
Of course.
So I understand well the issues of sovereignty. I was 10 years leading the European Commission, but I was 12 years in my national government, including as Prime Minister. So we should think that it's not only Britain that cares about sovereignty. We all want to have the rights of our countries respected. Now, the question is how to do it. Frankly, I believe that today, in the 21st century, in the age of globalization, we are better protecting our sovereignty, our de facto power in the world, if we are together. A country of 60 or even 80 million people cannot defend its rights and values in front of countries with 1.3 billion or 1.5 billion, as it will happen very soon with some countries in the world, if we are alone. So we share sovereignty. At the same time, I understand that in the British culture, in the British mind, it's not only Prime Minister Cameron, it has been different governments and different parties. There is some kind of exceptionalism, I have to say. The way the British look at Europe is frankly different from the way French or German or Spanish or Portuguese look at Europe. Britain has been leading Europe, different governments, And this is a common project where Britain is one of the most important shareholders.
Yes.
And from Tony Blair with the agenda on climate change to Margaret Thatcher for enlargement and for the internal market, and also Prime Minister Cameron on issues of less regulation, Britain has been leading Europe, and I believe that's where Britain should be.
There was nothing incremental about Angela Merkel's decision to welcome 1 million people into Germany, and of course, if they become naturalised, that's 1 million people who could set out for any other member state a couple of years down the line. That was neither incremental nor actually a decision based on consensus. Do you think she overreached herself?
No, she took the decision as Chancellor of Germany, and she was entitled to do it. And by the way, let's imagine, those who criticize Angela Merkel because she has done it, let's imagine for a second that the first message coming from Germany will be the opposite one. How would we react? Germany closing the doors. Then I would be more concerned if I saw a nationalistic German. I think what Merkel has done was, in fact, extremely important for Germany. Now, of course, they are trying to adapt, and they will do it.
But you understand why many British voters worry about the combination of arrival in Germany and EU citizenship, or German citizenship, making them possible arrivals here imminently. It's a huge issue for the...
No, but it's, I understand the point, and it has been exaggerated and to some extent...
It hasn't been exaggerated, sir. There are 1 million people.
To give the right of residence does not mean citizenship.
What would the European Union look like without the United Kingdom in it?
It can happen. I hope it will not, because it will be weaker European Union. United Kingdom is one of the most important countries in Europe and in the world. But I think everybody from Berlin to Warsaw or to Madrid understands that it will be negative.
Jose Manuel Barroso, many thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.